What's going on, everybody? This is James Grandmaster Facts Boyce, and you're here for another Facts Project review. Today, we are going to be covering Image Comics Sleep Issue 1, written and artwork done by Zander Cannon. All right, to get into this first issue, you will notice that the way that this whole comic is depicted is in grayish tones, but yet there's one other distinctive color that leaves a lot for the reader to pay attention to. And it's these very bright, vivid reds throughout every single page. Not only is it for the main character, Jonathan's glasses, but subtle things that allows us to be conspiracy theorists throughout the entire comic. So Jonathan seems like a very prude, church-going, very solemn, silent introvert, which I can totally understand. He has one good friend by the name of Tabitha, and he's got his cat named Mittens, but Mittens seems to be missing. And Jonathan wakes up one day where Tabitha is just blowing his phone up and is basically like, yo, I've been trying to reach out to you and I haven't been able to get any answers. And all of a sudden, as Jonathan is getting up, he understands that his door is wide open. His cat is missing. And the cops are patrolling outside of his house. So they were talking about a mutilation of some cattle that had happened in the area. I'm going to say, for instance, that this setting takes place in a small town, probably in the Midwest, right? And he comes to walk out of his door, and there's nothing but cow body parts all over his front lawn, scratches going all the way up the steps. And, you know, even though everybody's patrolling around, Jonathan just seems to go on about his day. He works at a coffee shop called K Vive. They actually still take checks. He has an old friend, because he ends up at church one day with Tabitha, that just popped up out of the blue. And you could tell that this guy was like the rebel, that was the bad kid that ultimately left the town and made it big. His name is Hip. And you could tell Hip is, of course, the rebellious type. He ended up living away from the town, grew out of it, probably made a name for himself because he seems like somewhat of an entertainer. But all the while, each page you see these intricacies start to happen. I talked about the checks in the coffee shop. They're written in the red lettering. There's a couple homeless people. One that he meets outside the coffee shop that scolds him for calling this lady by her married name. And then he follows like a trail of red, not sure if it's blood or paint, leading to the middle of like the town square, and seeing, I guess, a homeless gentleman just painting something on one of the flagpoles. So all in all, you come to find out, of course, the title of the story is called Sleep. Now, I'm not sure if that alludes to like a sleep paralysis demon or anything like that. Like I said, these particular red notations throughout every single page lead you to these type of conspiracy theories. And I can tell you this because I'm not going to bring up the cliffhanger, because I would suggest that everybody read it themselves. But something happens, of course, when Jonathan takes a nap, goes to sleep. You know, whenever he shuts his eyes, something particularly awakens. Not sure if it's you can make any type of spiraling details. It could be an entity that takes over his body. You could say that he becomes a werewolf. You could say that necessarily things that are happening in this town, or something, or better yet, something that he was cursed with, maybe, might have turned him into what this beast has been doing all while Jonathan sleeps. But I'm looking forward to issue 2. Zander Cannon has definitely depicted the way of this art style. I do give him credit for how it'll probably mislead you. Although you may think you know what you're talking about in the first page, by the 10th to 12th page, you're like, I'm a little thrown off as to where he might be going, or where this all particularly leads to. And it's a good cliffhanger going forth. But of course, we'll be covering this here next time on the Facts Project. Thank you guys for tuning into the channel. We will see you next time.